Hey, welcome there at 51 Raceway. Wanted to do a video on Thunderslots. Pretty excited because I have two McLarens on the way. One is the, how is it called, Papaya Orange, I think it was called. And then there's a beautiful blue one. And I started thinking, I have another two Thunderslots, or actually three, the Mustang and two Elvas that I haven't even tuned. And so I figured I'd just do a little tuning video on the Elvas that I have, which will probably apply the same thing to the McLarens if you guys are having experience tuning it. The Thunderslot cars are really tuner friendly in my opinion. The chassis are nice and flexible, so they allow a lot of movement in the car once you start loosening a few things here and there, like the pod screws and the body screws, and they perform wonderfully. You just got to check things, like for example, the Mustang, the reviews that I've done by Harry, you got to make sure you look at some of the rub screws to make sure you're not rubbing on stuff. But it seems like with the Elva and with the McLarens, they have some good luck, but sometimes things get missed during the factory and how everybody produces the car. They may miss them, so that's why this is the type of car that you have to disassemble or take the body off, and not disassemble completely, but look at it and see what the deal is with it. So we're going to go over to the little work area. I'm going to show you the one that I had tuned already, and then I have one in the box that we're going to pull out, and you can check, go through that one as well. So stay tuned here. We'll go over to the bench. All right, here we are at the bench here. Actually, it's basically the computer table. So this is a bench app downstairs for Area 51. Hangar 1 Speedway has its own assembly area, which is more in depth. And sometimes if more things need to be done to a car that needs more repair, then I'll go up there. But we're here for simple tuning. I'll do a few things here, and it just makes it easier that I can throw it on the road course track here on Area 51 and have fun with it. So here we have a red McLaren, a red Elva. Well, yeah, McLaren. This is one of the fastest cars I think that Thunderslot makes, but yeah, anybody may differ and probably will comment on it, but go right ahead, no problem. That's just my opinion. So excellent car. So what I've done to this car is I have loosened the pod screws and the body screws and set the ride height on the front, or set the front axle. And I've also put a slot invasion guide on here for the Carrera track. Slot invasion guides are really good. They're nice and deep. Nothing against the stock Thunderslot guide. It's just something I prefer for my track. But if you want to run with the Thunderslot guide, go right ahead. If it doesn't give you any issues, or if you feel you could improve on it by putting a slot invasion, then please do put a slot invasion. Now you can see here that the guide is on here, and I used different braids from Slot Car Corner, the tin copper braids. I changed those as well. And what I've done is I've just added, pod float and body float. And I've set my axle height, which is really super important. You really want this to be barely touching. As you can see here, I could spin it. And you could achieve that very easily by test and trial on your track, because every track is different. You tune your car to your track. And as you can see here how I have this free spinning nicely. And that's really my main goal with front axle height set and how they should, react. You can see that nice free spinning, and that's what I want. And I want no up and down movement on the axles. That's the body moving, but it's kind of hard to do it with the. You can see I'm holding this right here, and I have almost no movement, but it's not tight to where it's causing the axle to not spin freely. That's really good. That's where I preferably like them. And how you could do that is by adjusting the grub screws from down here. There's two right here, and there's two on the top. So I'm going to throw this on the track and show you how well it handles after you've done just a few minor adjustments. I haven't really put any weight on this car. Now every track, like I said, is different. You can add weight if you feel weight will enhance the performance of your car. Please do. You guys have to experiment, and you have to listen and watch, and in the way you feel in the trigger of your controller of the car. That's how I usually determine how the car should handle on my track. So let's go to the track with this car and we'll see how it runs. Okay, we're going to throw the Elva on the track. You can see McLaren too, which it is in McLaren. So there's two names for it. And we are going to run it right around and check it out. So here we go. We are at 10 volts on the track, and I'm using the inside lane. So I'm going to go ahead and roll it away on the track. This is tuned to my track. There's no weight, no magnet. The tires weren't trued. They've only been treated. The fronts haven't been trued also. They're just the stock tires, so we'll give it a whirl. There you go. Not too bad. The car handles pretty good. And again, with just a few adjustments here and there, and I'll show you what the next McLaren I'm going to do, which is one that I haven't even gotten out of the box, that it's been sitting in the box for a while. And I have another one as well, it's a black one. And again, with the other two coming, I want to be able to get these cars done to kind of do like a little showcase later on and follow them, because they are really, really cool cars. So let's go back over to the bench, and we'll look at the cars, at the one we're going to unbox and stuff and show you. All right, here we go. We have a white McLaren ELVA MK1. So this has been in the box for several months. I just opened it up to look at it. That's why the tape is off. You can see the tape still on the end here. And I haven't really messed with this car. And we're going to mess with it right now on camera. And of course, the usual mounting, which is the screw on the bottom. Just going to remove that. And we will need the screw. And I'll put it right there. And get rid of the base. And we can get our tech block. And here we go. So, as you can see, this car, the front wheel is shoved all the way up to the top. I mean, it's hitting it big time. You can't even move it. Again, when you get, well, you can move it a little. But when you get these cars, you got to realize they're meant for people who are hobbyists. So compared to a Carrera car, or Ski Electric, or the other big toy brands that are magnet cars, they basically want you to just put the car on the track and run it. And so with these kinds of cars, you do have to investigate and take things apart and look at it. As you can see, this has the certain type of guide that Thunderslot makes. I got all my different manufacturers in my head mixed up. And this is their copper braid that they use. Now what we're going to do is take the body screws off, and that will be this one in the back, which tends to be a real pain, and these two. This one's always a little bit tougher to put. I usually will drop it in there first before I try and tuck it in to get it, and we'll show you that. And the tool that I'm using is a 1.3 hex to remove these, and that's the size that they are to remove these boogers out of here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the rear body screw off, and take these two front ones loose as well. Just like that. And let your screws fall if they haven't fallen through. Just poke them through like that. And the other one fell out. Now one thing I do suggest you do is, since we take the magnets out of everything, I get an old magnet and I do this. So this way these things could get like scattered, or you could drop them, and it's good to have the magnet to just keep them in place so you don't lose them. That's just something I've been starting to do, because upstairs at Hangar One Speedway there's a carpet on the floor, and I tend to drop things down there, and it's really difficult to get it. On here it's a wood floor, so it'd still be a little bit tough. So have an extra magnet, since there's so many of them from the cars. If you're non-mag, just plop them on there and it'll stick them, and at least they'll be all in a location. You don't have to worry about hitting them. They get flung all over the place. So now we have the car, you know, the body off the car. And we're just checking everything out, make sure everything looks tight. See, you got a lot of movement there. And one thing that worries me right here is that this made contact right there with the tire, which may cause a little, you know, dragging issue. So what I will do is probably move this in a little to see if I could alleviate that. Or you could also get a spacer, which I don't have spacers down here, and you know, eliminate that, but that's a little bit too tight. So I'm going to move it a little bit more. Still too tight. I don't want it tight to where it's going to strain the motor or cause an issue or dragging and then heat up the motor, and then it's slow because it's just got to get a little finesse here. Oh, still. Go. Still want a little more. That's a little bit better. You can make it a little bit looser than that, but we may need to put it, you know, we need to space this out a little bit more, but it looks like that's okay. So that's where I'm going to run it at, and we'll test it. And then we can loosen it as well. If we do need to true this down or file that down, you can. It's no big deal. It's just, we're just checking to make sure nothing's contacting. It looks like that's going to clear even when I move it up and down. It's not touching the tire, the pinion gear, and that's what I'm concerned with right here. We're going to look at the rest of the car, and then we're going to see we have for the front axle is right here. Are these two grub screws on the top, and then on the bottom they are right here. One here, hope you could see that, and one over here. So what I'm going to do is see how much that is just way up too high. That just will not benefit you at all. And what I'm going to do is drop this axle down, and you can see right here real closely how this looks right here. You can see that these grub screws are, see all that up and down movement? That's really, you don't want that up and down travel. You want it tight, but also tight to where it doesn't restrict the axle from spinning. So what we're going to do is lower these screws down, and we're just going to, usually you'd want to count your turns too, so let's do this here. So I got to remember that also. So I usually count turns just to make sure that they're going down evenly. They look pretty even there, but you'll, you know, make your judgment, make sure the axle's obviously level. So I use this as a reference point, this little piece right here, this little dot. Oh, my camera's focusing well because I've been having trouble getting this to focus. And it doesn't look like it is. Camera finally. I didn't have it on autofocus, I had it on manual focus because I was doing some high-speed shots. Lessons from Raul, just experimenting. So now we got the camera where we want it. Sorry about that. So here are the two screws I'm talking about. Hope you can see this. I'm trying to make sure I get enough light in here. I know lighting's not ideal. So the two screws are, let me get up closer here, are right here. This one and this one. There's 4 spots that they have them at, but usually they're on the outside here. And those are the two. Now you can see, again, let me get right here, position how much travel there is there. And you see the 2 grub screws protruding out right there. Right there, you can see that right there. Let me see, I'm pointing it right there and right there. So what we're going to do is, like I said, you count your turns, and counting your turns is important when you're dealing with this. So I usually use this as a basis, which is my tool here. I'll make sure I get in the slots to see that right there, that mark. Or you can mark something on your tool yourself to where you could count turns. So I'm going to go down 1 turn, so I'm going to turn 1 turn completely right there. And I'm going to go to the other side and do the same. 1 turn completely. And there you have it. So I've lowered it down a little, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this front tire and show you. wheel. You could see through there where I'm trying to get at here is you want this to be level, obviously, and you don't want it to be bouncing up and down like that. So what I will do is I will go ahead and pull these down to press on the top of the axle. So again, I'm going to count my turns. So I'm going to go one turn there, and I'm going to go one turn here, just like that. All right, a little bit tighter, and I'm going to check on my block to see where I'm at. And not too bad. Remember, the weight of the body is going to push these down a little too. So you got to look at your block, you know, head on like that, and see where you're at with where they're touching. Come on, camera, focus. And it's focusing on my hands, but you can see what I'm talking about right there. You want them to barely touch the block. And you're going to see this when you go down the track, if you see these wheels actually contacting. And again, plastic track is not always completely like perfectly smooth, because there are, like, you know, little divots and stuff because it's a plastic track and you have the joiners that are joining your track, as compared to like a wood track where it's usually all pretty smooth all the way around, except for mine has little areas that are not that way. But you'll know what I'm talking about when you run these and you see that the front wheel is contacting, because these again are like outriggers. Once the car tips, this is going to contact on there and you know, hold the car from kicking out and deslotting. So not too bad there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the gap more, because what I didn't want to do is get rid of that up and down movement. I want it to be solid. So what I will do is I will go down again. I'll go half a turn, because I'm doing half now. Again, this part on the other side, just like that, half on the other side of the car. And then I check by spinning these and checking up and down movement, and we still have a little bit there, as you can see. So what I'll do is I will go down another half turn. So what I'll do also is, which I should have been doing, is I should mark, you can do is mark the other side of this as well, which I need to do, so, but I'll do that another time. So what I'm going to do is go down and like that. Just make sure I'm going half a turn only. Oops, didn't get it locked in there. Okay, half a turn. And I check, now you see how it's kind of dragging there a little. So you got a little drag there. It's not spinning freely. So now you know that the rub screws have completely made contact now with the axle, and you can see there no movement. So this is the part, if you're happy with the height, which right now I think I am content where it's at right now, I'm going to go back just a hair, like a quarter, like that. And I'll do the same thing here. Get this lined up. And I'll go quarter like that. I'll check to see if it spins free. And looks like we got nice spinning free movement there. See? Nice. And then we're going to check that. That's no movement there up and down. It looks like maybe a little bit there on this side here. So maybe what we'll do is we'll go just a little bit more in, like that, a quarter. Just make sure it's not dragging the axle. And then we could check. Again, the chassis is flexing, so see what I mean? There you go. There you can see right there. That looks pretty good. And maybe I'll go a little bit more in. And you just gotta experiment as you do this. See, that's dragging right there. So I'm gonna go back out a quarter again. Just adjust your axle is what you're doing. And that's not too bad. So I think we'll leave it there. Now we've adjusted our front axle. So, and I may go a little lower because I'm not happy with that. So then what I could do, if you're not happy, you could just keep adjusting it. So I'll go, this time I'll go half a turn. Half a turn there. I've lowered it. You can see the grub screws where I've lowered it right there. Focus, focus, focus. Sorry guys, this is not focusing like it should. A little tough, but you can see that movement. And what I'll do is I'll go on the top to get rid of that play. You go a quarter in, and make sure the spin's nice and easy. You don't want to bind up the axle. And that looks pretty good. It looks pretty solid. And it spins nice and free, so that's what you want. And check here. Oh, not too bad. I think we're okay there. Now, once you set your front axle and you're happy with what it does, and you could run this without the body if you want to check it too, it's up to you. Or put the body on, either way. And then what we're going to do is we're loosen the pod screws. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pod screws. So make sure I'm on the center of the camera. I don't know if I'm in the center of the camera here. I'm sorry if I'm wandering off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to again count turns. I'm going to go 1 full turn here like that. 1 full turn like that. Go back here, 1 full turn. Go to the back here to these screws. 1 full turn. And 1 full turn. Now I've got my pod loose. Now on the other Elva, I think I went 2. So I'm going to do 2 because it seems like I had good luck with 2. You loosen how, well, what I would do first is, since if you're tuning this on your track, loosen it 1 turn and then you drive the car around and see how it, how it feels and how it reacts. If it's, needs a little more, little less. Again, these chassis are super flexy. They flex really nice. That's what's nice about the Thunderslot chassis, is that they're able to do a lot of movement when you're going around the track. So, it doesn't take too much to do. But what I'll do is I'll go 2 turns just for, shits and giggles for myself. So I'll go 1 turn. Again, count your turns. 1 turn here. 1 turn here. 1 turn here, and 1 turn here. Cool. A little bit looser. Again, my track loves loose pods. I don't know, it's just my track. You guys may like tighter pods. And fluff these out a little, since if you get a Carrera rails, they're a little bit wider than the norms. And I'll spread those out a little. So you spread out a little bit more. And put them out like that. And make sure that they're angled like that on the braids, like that, and should be all set. And then what I'll do is I will oil it, because it's a brand new car. I'll oil it right here on the end bell and the pinion side, and I'll lubricate the bushings. And also we'll put oil here where the grub screws are at. That's important. You want the grub screws to have some, lubricant on the axle. Right there. Right. So we get it all nice and lubed up. And the one thing I do also is I add the PTFE grease from Slot Car Corner. All this stuff's from Slot Car Corner, these oils and greases. And I'll put a little right here. A little dab will do you. Hold it on there. And, oops, pull those out there, duh. And put a little bit residue of this here. This stuff right here, you gotta be careful when you push it out, because it just goes all over. It comes out all of a sudden quickly. Just, that's enough. I don't want to get too much. What I'll do is I'll run it on my little bench over here. Give me a sec here. And get the oil and the grease all cycled through, and that's it. And what I'll usually do is I'll treat these tires with some tire treatment and let them sit for few hours, and then I'll use naphtha, which is lighter fluid, and then clean them off, and then that also will improve the handling very well as well. I use the tire tweak right here. Tire tweak is good, or I have another mixture that I call Alien Jizz, but I won't get into that. What I'll do is we'll place our body on, and we'll get the screws that we have here with the which we call it the magnet. And this is the tough one to put on. It's kind of a pain in the butt. It's the only thing about this body. It's kind of a, let's say, bitch. I'll drop this in here, and I'll tuck it in like that, because this one's hard to get to. This is the hardest one to do, because there we go. It's threading in. You could feel it. So that's threaded in, and I'll get the other two and put them like so in there. Get this one and draw them down. And get the other one. As you drop my lubricant, get that out of the way, and put that all the way down. Okay, now I have these all the way drawn down, and what I'm going to do again, I'm going to count my turns. On this one, I'm just going to go 1. So I go 1 turn there, 1 turn here, and then in the back, I'm going to go 1 turn. So now I've loosened my body screws, and feel like they're too loose, do they? So I'm going to go 1 more turn. I'm going to go 2, because I think I did 2 on the red Elva. So I'll go another one here, another one here, and 1 more here. I feel a little bit comfortable with that. So there's more movement on the body there. I thought that was a little too tight, but we'll have to see when we the car goes around the track. So there you go. That's it. Those are little adjustments you have to do, and I think that's going to be pretty good right there to throw it on the track. Again, these are just simple adjustments that you do when you get this car out and you check things. Other guys do way more, maybe in-depth stuff. I'm just showing you just kind of like a basic. So if you are a first-time person to get a Thunderslot, you need to do these things. Otherwise, if you throw on the track the way it is, you're going to get a little frustrated and get kind of disappointed and then think, why'd you buy this? But this is really worth the money. They're great cars. They just need a little attention and a little adjustment, because that's what part of the hobby is adjusting things and getting it going. So let's throw this on the track right now and see what it does. All right, here we go. We got the white Elva on, and we're going to see what it does. So here we go. Oh, got a little de-slotting right there. At least it's right in front of me where I could grab it. So we got a lot of fishtailing, so I think definitely the tires need to be treated and worn in a little more. I don't true these tires because once you start treating the tires and running them on the track, they will start wearing in. But you can true them if you want to. I'm not saying you can't, which it's always a benefit to true tires. But they will kind of, in a way, self-true on your plastic track as you keep running them on, because just like the NSR tires, they will start making those little marbles, and there you go, just de-slot it over there, and come apart, and then eventually that tread will go away that you see on there. So let me grab this here, and what I am looking at is that I'm seeing that, and I'm trying to look as this comes by me to see if those front tires are rotating when I come right over around this corner here, and kind of looking at the car, and looks like it may be still a little bit too high. I'm very particular on how my tires should be contacting. Now, this car right here, compared to this one, when you come around the corner, this one is contacting and this was not. And I'll show you what I mean on camera, if I could capture it to what it's doing. So I want those tires a little bit lower is what I want. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, here we're back on the bench here. Excuse me, and I do want to lower the axle because I didn't like how this was going down the track, and these are still a little bit too high in my opinion. Thought they would be good enough. So what you're going to do again is count your turns again and go down on the axle. So we're going to go 1 complete turn, come back over here to this one and do the same 1 complete turn. Then we're going to go back over here. You can see, of course, we have the movement again. That's up and down. We're going to eliminate that by counting our turns here with these corkscrews and going downward. So we'll go 1. That was a little over 1. 1. And there we go. And I think we got what we need. And there we go. That's 1 turn. So this is what you have to do to kind of get, you know, these things situated to where you want it. Now, I may change this guide later on, but right now I'm fine with it. I'm going to leave it on. I'm going to put the body back on again. And, excuse me, go from there and see where we're at on the track again. And again, it's all trial and error when you deal with these cars and when you are trying to tune them. Don't get frustrated. That's the process of tuning. You just got to keep working at it. And again, we'll get the screw, which is really a pain in the butt to get back here. Here we go. Get that in. We'll get these in again. I always run them all the way down and then I count them out again. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go turn it 1/2 instead of 2. So we'll get these in here. Run them all down. Excuse me for clearing my throat again. And go 1.5, I said. So we'll go 1 and then 1/2. Again, right here, 1 and 1/2. And then the back, 1/2. Excuse me, gosh. Okay, so we're right there, and I think we'll be okay. That looks pretty good, at least from what I can see from my block here. It's kind of maybe hard for you guys to see it. So we're gonna throw it on the track again, and we're giving it a minute. All right, here we are back at the track, and we're gonna run the white Elva again and see what we get out of her. Here we go. Whoa, look at that. Now we got a little sideways action there and knocked my red Elva off. Luckily, didn't break the mirror on. There you go. You see a little wipeout on action there as they did a little fishtailing. Now, again, I need to treat these tires. That's why it's fishtailing more than the red one. But, again, we got a little bit, I think it handled a little bit better than what it did before because the wheels are contacting as they go around the corners and barely touching like they should. I think the axle was still a little too high in my opinion for my track. And there you go. There you have it. If you treat these tires with some tire tweak or 3-in-1, 4-in-1 oil, I think it is, 3-in-1 oil, 4-in-1 oil, any type of machine, you know, sewing machine oil, or even Marble Mystery oil, and some naphtha to clean them, this will hang on even better. And there you go. Little still fishtailing there. I guess it got jealous on my red car and knocked it off just to prove that it could do just as good on the track. There you go. So I'll show you again what I need on camera about this. I'm gonna try and capture it in a slow motion if I can. When this comes around the corner, and kind of how it, yeah, see exactly like that. That's what I like, and I'll show you that as I'm doing that, how it's doing that motion. But let's squeeze away here. Oh, a little bit too much there. Let's squeeze away here. I got that on camera, and pretty much that's how I tune mine for my track, and that's kind of a good bass tune for anybody who wants to, take a shot in an Elva and tune it. I'll probably change the guide later on, but it doesn't seem to be affecting it too much. I prefer the slot invasion guide, which I'll probably end up changing anyway. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. It's just a preference. But this is pretty much it on tuning it. It doesn't take much. Pretty simple. And these cars, again, like I said, they're really fun cars. I think they are spectacular. And I look forward to the McLarens I'll be getting because I'm going to have myself quite a fleet of cars now. And I do have a black Elva I need to tune also. So this has been sitting in a box for quite some time. And again, these are pretty durable because this got knocked off the table and fell on the hardwood floor and the mirror didn't break, so that's a good thing. And it looks like it got sustained no damage, but pretty durable for a stock car to get knocked off like that by the white one and and fall off. But so I hope you enjoyed this little tuning thing here that I just kind of threw together for everyone to check out. But again, these cars are really a lot of fun. The chassis are super flexible. They really handle nice once you just do a few adjustments, and you could add whatever you want to as well. Truing the tires, truing the fronts, truing the rears, treating them. However you feel it works good for your track is what's best for you. You do what's best for you and what works for you. So this is what works for me. And I hope you enjoyed that little tuning stuff there. And as always, take care and have fun racing.